Much, Mr. Chair, and I'm going to ask my questions in the order of the presentation. So I'm going to start with Mr. Brazeau, and I read your brief to the Finance Committee. Can you just clarify whether there was any consultation that you were involved with the government? Was there a consultation period, and did you participate? And I realize from Mr. Carey's statements that he supports the amendment in the budget, but could you just reading the background material, this was already tried in 2014, and it was concluded by the government that it wasn't a good idea. So can you just tell me what the impetus is for the government to make the change and talk to us about the consultation period?
Thank you for your question, Senator. So on your first question regarding where we consulted, we met with the members of the National Supply Chain Task Force, the co-chairs, Jean Gattuso, Louise Iacco, and the participants, the other members of the Supply Chain Task Force. We provided our input, we provided written briefs, and this came from the Railway Association of Canada as well as our Class 1 members, CN and CPKC. So written briefs, separate meetings. So we had an opportunity to have dialogue. And, we are in favor of any recommendation that aims to improve the fluidity and the capacity of the supply chain. We believe in that, and we wanted to contribute to that. But at no point were there any discussions specifically on extended regulated interswitching. And that's where we have serious concerns, because there was no discussions with the experts, the operational experts, the people who run railroads 24/7, 365 days a year. So we never had an opportunity to have that discussion. So when we saw the recommendation submitted to the Transport Minister back in the fall, and there was the recommendation of extended regulated interswitching from 30 kilometers to 160 kilometers, we then met with Transport Canada officials, and we were reassured by the Minister and his staff that there would be discussions before going forward with any of those recommendations. So we were very surprised to see in the Bill C-47 that extended regulator switching was recommended that it be changed from 30 kilometers to 160 kilometers. So we were not fully consulted, and frankly, we were surprised that that ended up in the budget. And on your second question, with respect to the 2014-2017 pilot project, data was collected during those 3 years. And so the government had an opportunity to look at what occurred during that 3-year period. And then Transport Minister Marc Garneau acted on a recommendation from David Emerson, who basically said this, that interswitching was not helpful. The 160-kilometer interswitching limit raises issues about connectivity and competition from railway carriers in the United States, as American carriers can solicit Canadian traffic, but the reverse is not true. And the ADM at the time at Transport Canada responded, Helena Borges, by saying that after the assessment we did, we uncovered that it wasn't heavily used, that it was having unintended consequences on the competitiveness of our railways vis-a-vis the U.S. railways. So both the Emerson report and Transport Canada officials confirmed that extended regulated interswitching from 2014 to 2017 was bad policy.
So what were do I still have time? What were the unintended consequences that you just referred to? And, did that impact the length of time it takes to move the product? And also, does it increase the cost? And who bears the increased cost?
On average, interswitching adds 1 to 2 extra days to transit time, okay? And I had mentioned, loss of traffic, loss of jobs to the U.S. Thousands of carloads were redirected to the U.S. as a result of this. So there was a cost. There was a cost incurred or a revenue loss by Canadian railways, and that's going to be even worse this time around, because there's talk now of it going beyond 160 kilometers. So there certainly was a cost, and additional carloads went south.
Who bears the cost?
Well, the railways.
The railways pay the cost.
The railways, under the extended regulator interswitch, you have to provide service at below market rates within that distance. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we pay labor, we pay equipment, all at market rates. So, we have a responsibility to reinvest in our network. We're a very capital-intensive industry, and in order for us to do that, we have to earn a fair return, and
Do I still
that's a
have time?
loss to
The
us.
second round, Senator?
Second round, I have to ask.